Today, we're going to take a look at Nomadland and how it explores the idea of freedom.
Anywhere you go, give it on. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
I think most of us have heard about Nomadland. It has just won the Oscars, and to be honest, it's pretty deserving of it. So, if you haven't gone out and watched it just yet, I thoroughly recommend it. Go and watch it now before you watch it. Actually, no, just watch the episode. It's still good. It's still good. It's worth a watch no matter what.
Means the most to me is home. Is it just a word, or is it something that you carry within you? So,
I like that one.
Something that really struck me when watching this film is how it explores the idea of freedom in modern day America. So, the story revolves around a character named Fern, played by the brilliant Frances McDormand, who is, well, I mean, she's just fantastic in everything really, isn't she? And she joins a nomadic community which travels around America, and they happen to be made up mostly of 60 to 70-year-olds who have suffered through the 2008 recession, having lost almost everything, and therefore have transferred their lives into their vans, finding a new sense and sort of freedom outside of the social norms. These 60 and 70-year-olds basically are the OAP version of Mad Max, just traversing the American landscape in their vans wherever they want to go, whenever they want to go. Most of these nomads, except for a couple, are actually real people. Chloe Zhao has done an incredible job directing these people into their roles, just being themselves.
hi guys.
And it wasn't as if we were on a long lens and it was very voyeuristic and they didn't know the camera was there. She's been able to get everyone who was in front of that lens to portray a character, to give a part of themselves into this film in a magical way. Ultimately, Chloe Zhao has created a film which reveals freedom in a way that most people can only dream of.
Going places where we've never been. Going places we may never go again. And we can't wait to get in our vans again.
When we meet Fern at the beginning of the movie, we see her paring down her life to fit everything that she can into her new home, her van. But she still keeps hold of all of these material possessions at the beginning of the movie, just resorting to putting them in a rented space for the majority of the film. So she's only able to take a handful of incredibly meaningful objects with her on the road because of the confined space in the van. Rather interestingly, one of these items is a set of plates given to her by her deceased father when she was younger. Out of all of her worldly possessions, she chooses these plates to carry with her inside her deceased husband's tackle box. And we know this is definitely going to be a plant. We know that this is the representation of how she's holding on to her past. She's holding on to these people that are no longer in her world, and she can't seem to let them go. So on a very surface level, Chloe Zhao has taken an argument into this film. She's basically shown what modern day materialistic America looks like versus the nomadic life. A very frugal life with a very restricted number of items that you can have. So when we meet Fern and we learn that she is still shackled by some of her worldly possessions, we understand that this is going to be a big part of her journey. It is essentially her being able to face letting go of those people in her life. And by letting go of those people, she will be able to let go of these possessions that weigh her down. A brilliant example of this is quite early on in the film. Fern is at one of the encampments where many of the nomads congregate along their journey, and she spots a large pile of various items out on the ground, and the nomads have come across to this pile to take items for free. People give their items freely if they no longer need them, not tying emotional weight to each of the items. From this, we start to understand how different the value systems are in the current nomadic society versus Fern, who's learning about it.
Yeah, you should take this one. That one's kind of funky.
Chloe Zhao, in a very subtle way, without preaching at us, is arguing you don't need all of these items to live a fulfilled life. Which leads me into a really interesting area of the film, which is Fern's discovery of her purpose within this community, a sense of value within a new community that she's found. Fern's backstory is essentially that she has lost her husband and her job, and in fact the entire town has died when a sheetrock factory goes out of business and the postcode is struck off the postal list, such as the amount of people who've left the area. So with no community and no purpose, no work, Fern has no other choice but to leave. Once she's on the road, it's almost like a search. She's looking for a new community, a new place to settle. And in a way, this really reminds me of the old cowboy and western movies, and a lot of the imagery is of the very same mountain ranges that used to be filmed and has been filmed hundreds if not thousands of times in previous movies across the decades. And over this journey, she starts to form bonds and find a sense of community within the nomads. What's beautiful here is Chloe Zhao has also visually represented this journey. She starts in a harsher, colder environment at the beginning of the movie. And as she forms the bonds and finds community, the colors and tones become warmer, they become richer. She also wears more comfortable clothes.
We be the bitches of the Badlands.
This journey of finding community is also what allows her to release her previous life. So at the end of the movie, we have a really beautiful bookend when she actually returns to her rented garage and gives away all her old possessions, releasing everything from her old life, including her home.
You sure you don't need any of this stuff?
No, don't need any of it. I'm good. I'm not gonna miss one thing.
Quite often when we find something difficult, emotionally painful, we find that very difficult to look at, to analyze, to approach. So when we see Fern not just give away all her worldly possessions except for what's in her van, she also then goes back to her old home in an incredibly moving moment where she reflects upon her past. She then doesn't walk out the front door, she walks out the back door. As if she's moved past what that meant to her. She's not sad in these images. She's not sad in these moments. She's reflective, denoting how she has moved past the moments at the beginning of the movie when merely holding a jumper in her hands had her on the edge of crying. And so at the end, free of these emotional shackles that hold her to her old home, she goes back on the road. With a beautiful shot, a vista in front of her, the free open road beckons. The nomadic life is what she's choosing.